Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. The last week, we talked about reality of things, and I said that I would need to go back to the same place to continue discussing this thing because it's still not over yet. You want me to wait until next weekend, or you rather continue? No preference? Hello, still in Samadhi? We have one continue, the rest of you, that's two. Okay. Any problems, go for us within continuing up here? Yes? Yes problems? No problems? What does it mean? I have horns in my head? Okay, well, we continue then, huh? Is that okay? Okay. That's okay. Let's review this a little bit, shall we? Because I sort of forgot. Okay, bear with me. This is Master YongHua profound teaching during a Chanchi. He talked about, and I stressed that we paraphrase. I had to paraphrase a little bit because of the translation and also because it's the Chinese style. I don't necessarily like some of the way that he expressed in too Chinese for me. He says that the theme is that we take everything to be real, everything. By the way, you're doing well, Brady. Very good. I'm glad that you decided to drop a lot of things. Okay, and the next thing you need to do is to drop trying to understand everything. That's your weakness. Oh boy, do you insist you must understand? There's no need for that. Why not? That's the proof right there. You take everything to be real, including your understanding to be real. Is that clear? Just drop it. All right. Next, that's the Master says is confusion. If you insist on being so sure of your understanding, then you're confused. It's a very, very strong statement. Think about it. If you insist so sure that you know and that you are right, then you are confused. Isn't that amazing? Don't be so sure yourself, one Teksunim. This guy is a sleeper. He doesn't say anything, he doesn't do much, doesn't say much, but he says, I'm not going to do anything until I'm sure. Am I correct, sir? No, not true, huh? Oh, you're innocent. Look at his face, I'm so innocent. Yeah. Okay? It's just not him. The rest of us is like that. We're so sure of ourselves. Right, Guru? Okay? And because of that, only in through Buddhist meditation, you'll be able to break through that attachment and understand emptiness. Okay? What is emptiness? It doesn't matter. What it matters right now in this context is that even that attachment to be so sure, okay, you have to let go because that is empty as well. That attachment is empty as well. Is that clear, everyone? This is the ultimate wisdom here, folks. Not just little tricks here and there up your sleeve so that you can be you can outsmart people and you can outcompete others and you can become better than others. This is ultimately the deeper level wisdom that you're capable of producing. And this is what makes you a better person, a better teacher, a better professional, a better retiree. All right? Next. So he gave examples, cars, money, shape and form are solid. Okay, this is the problem I had. I knew about these things, and when I was practicing years ago, I said, how on earth am I going to break through this? It seems like an impossible task, right? Personally, it was for me. But what did I do? Okay, I just followed the instructions. Okay, it's not meant for you to understand. Remember, why not? Brady? Number one.
We're not ready for it.
It's nothing to understand. No one needs to understand. Okay? Yeah. Because eventually, you see, number two, emotions to be love, jealousy, happiness to be true, make us feel alive. Number three, we probably intellect, especially you smart people, you educated people. You have your intellect, you have your logic, okay? You have your proud traditions, because thinking health has built our world. Number four, life is real because our heart keeps pumping, okay? And the heat is generated, okay? All those are real to us, okay? It's because of this thing called the ego that grasps at those things, at those so-called marks. This is a very important Mahayana concept in Buddhism that is the building block to your transcending your own personal limitations, folks. If you don't believe this, the consequence is that you bound to imprison yourself in your own ego. Your ego will imprison you. They don't need to put you in the prison. You put yourself in prison and you let your ego go wild, uncontrolled, unchecked. And that's why people are miserable. Sounds familiar? Who's miserable? Who's unhappy? Who else? It's your ego. One moment decides he's so happy. Oh, he makes me so happy. And the next moment, the ego decides, oh my goodness, he's so controlling. How could I have been so blind all this time? He doesn't love me, he loves himself. Because he only wants to control me. Sounds familiar? Girls? No, huh? fresh revelation. How come no one ever told you? How come Mom never told you about this before? She taught me how to hold on to the house, to the children for financial security, but never taught me how to be happy. Huh? All right? So it's the ego who decides what's real, what's false, and so forth. That's why, how can we, part of the ego, that ego deciphers what's desirable, what's not desirable. That's called attachment. This is so fundamental Buddhist wisdom, folks. Okay? There's no higher level wisdom than this. Well, it does get a little bit higher. He's only telling you the tip of the iceberg. Okay, but this is the foundation of higher wisdom. Without this, you cannot open your true wisdom. This is the beginning of your true wisdom, being unfolded. It's unfolding right now. Okay? Because of attachment, we could not see through things, we could not put them down. Okay? That's confusion. So cultivation is the Buddhist systematic method to unveil the functioning of the ego. If you want to break down the ego, you better know how it works. We have to first tell you. Okay, if you want your interest, you have to first tell you about that ego and it's how it works. Okay? And the Buddha is so wise. He figured out how the ego worked because he broke it. He broke it down. He really broke through it. Okay? And that's how he says, this is my gift of the world. Because I was miserable my entire life. Okay? I was a crown prince and I was not happy. I could have all the pleasures in the world, all the material things my heart could desire, and I was still not happy. Okay? And finally I broke through. And at the age of, I believe, 29, am I correct? He became enlightened because he broke through the ego. Okay, that's extraordinary. At the age of 29, he became enlightened. Okay, that means that he says, if I can do this, so can all living beings, so can everyone. And so that's why he taught us. And once we break through the ego, so in this process of cultivation, Chan cultivation, Buddhist cultivation, by the way, Buddhist cultivation is purpose is to help you eventually break down the grip that the ego has on us. So as you progress through, okay, this is why unlike the Chinese who can order people around and assume that you are sheeps and you will do what you're supposed to, do what you're told. And Westerners like us, we need to know, we need to understand, we need to agree before we do it, okay? And that's why we have to tell you that that it's your ego that needs to be broken up before it will lose its grip on your perceptions. And that's how, as you go through this progression, in your meditation training, the ego, believe it or not, gradually loses its grip on you, on your mind. So for example, I just gave Brady a personal instruction. I said, for you in particular, at this point here, what's stopping you is your ego insisting on I gotta understand. I gotta agree. Otherwise, it's no go. I will stop. I will go on strike. Okay? So that's why seriously, only the Buddhist teachers, especially the one who broke through already, would be able to help you lead the way for you. This is about leading you there. It's not about explaining to you. It's nothing to explain, because when you understand, okay, it's the ego again who tries to understand. That's why he said, stop it. Don't. There's no understanding. You hear me? Okay, there's no need for that. Just do it. Just do what you're told. Meditate an hour a day. Sit and cross your legs. Bear the pain. Okay, stop complaining, and be nice to your wife. Okay? So far, so good? Where were we? Are we here yet? Where were we? Which slide did we start? Number 12. Okay, so good summary. Yes, number 2.
Master, I was just wondering, when the ego loses its grip, where does the ego go? Does it dissolve? Does it just hang around? Is it gone? Or?
Okay, good point. But I don't have a good answer for it. Where does the ego go? It sounds like this lady here is worried that she's going to lose her ego. It's my best friend. He's the only person who sticks by me through thick and thin. And what happens to it? If it loses a grip on me, we can't be friends anymore? Oh my goodness. What's going to happen to me? Who can help her out? Who has some compassion and help her out and assure her that don't be afraid. We're not going to lose your friend. You're not going to lose your best friend. Okay? She'll be with you to death. Yes, number 1.
I think what happens is the ego deflates and you're not paying attention to it as you once did. Perhaps it's still there, but you don't dwell on it any longer.
Yes, very good. Q&A.
Hello, Master. This is In.
Yes.
I think on the same light as the previous speaker, that it won't be able to control you.
Very good. Here's what happens. It's because this lady in particular, she embraces the ego as her best friend. Okay? That's what she says. I trust only my best friend because she's with me 24 hours a day. She's there when I need it, when I need her. But where are you? I only see you once a week and I only have bad words and unpleasant words to tell me. So my ego says, no, you are the greatest in the world. I love you. I adore you. You can always count on you. I will never suffocate you. If I go to prison, I go to prison with you. If you die, I die with you. Your husband will divorce you. I will never divorce you. I swear to God. Okay? Sounds familiar? Who else would you trust? I ask you. But your ego is always there for you. My mother, at times she loves me dearly, and at times she says, no, you're no longer my favorite. And she rotated us like a musical chairs. God save her soul. Even my own mother, who I loved dearly, was not as loyal to me as my own ego. And you're asking me to let go of my ego? Huh? So you're right. You're both right. What happened is that you used to trust your ego only above everyone else. Now this revelation begins, so there's something that is not necessarily the best thing for me. My ego, yes, it's a very dependable, yes, it is very trustworthy friend, but half of the time it's not trustworthy. Did you know that? The ego is not entirely bad. To be fair, half the time it serves you well. The other half of the time, it doesn't. That's what worries me. If only it serves you 100% of the time, then it's called happiness. It's the other half of the time when it doesn't serve you, that's what makes you unhappy. Is that clear? You're unhappy because your ego does a disservice to you. And because you trust your ego so much, because your ego is your best friend, remember? He makes you happy, reassures you, is always there for you, okay? And through thick and thin, okay? For richer and poorer, okay? Health and sickness, okay? All those things, okay? You remember that, those things? Okay? He's the first one who made that vow to you. Not your husband, not your wife. Okay, of course. Okay, Brady says, of course, you remember that. Okay, it's that 50% of the time where it decides to be disagreeable. That's why we're unhappy. Okay, so what happened is that as you progress, as you develop samadhi power, this is why it's so critical, okay? It's a good question, okay? I made fun of it, but it's an excellent question. It has so much insight there. What happened is that, you remember when I teach you meditation, I said, my purpose is for you to improve. Otherwise, I'm wasting your time. I'm wasting my time, okay? Everything I do when I'm here with you, I teach you Chan meditation. I don't care how much you disagree with me, how much you hate me. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I had people like that, and eventually they couldn't take it, so they left and they abandoned me and they badmouthed me and slandered me. It's okay, it's not a problem. It hurts. My ego is hurt. But the point here is that all I care about, all that matters to me is you keep on improving. Okay, you see, I waited patiently for Brady's ego for a few years, and finally I broke down and said, I can't wait much longer. If I wait much longer, he's gonna die, I'm gonna die. So I better take a chance, So I did, and it helped. Okay, yes? Number one.
Absolutely, it helped. I can feel a release of the constant attachment of following your ego. I can feel that it isn't as strong as it once was.
That's the key right there. As you improve, what does improving mean? The samadhi increases. What does it mean? That you are not as gullible towards your ego as before. This is why, by the way, it's very difficult for me to teach the teachers. Because the teacher says, I know. I'm a teacher, remember? I know. That's why you can't teach me things that I don't know. Okay? I'm trained to teach. You not. And especially people like Guru who are so accomplished in their own practices and they're so successful. They're successful people, and they say, I know what I'm doing, and therefore you cannot tell me anything new. Okay? And it's very difficult to teach teachers or to teach successful people because they say, I'm so successful, who are you? You know? So what happened is that when you improve, you get to keep improving at each level. You no longer listen to your ego. You say, no, that's wrong. No. You don't talk to me like that. It's not right. You know. I don't need to be to understand everything. Finally, I realized that I don't need to understand everything. Listen, I tried to understand my wife my entire life. Did it work? Number one.
You stop depending on the ego as your old friend and accomplisher.
Yes.
You step away from it. It's just not that important anymore.
Yeah. It's all an illusion. To insist on understanding is an illusion. All you have to do is not insist on that. Then the understanding will come naturally through what we talked about the last time, your instinct. This understanding is there. As long as you're alive, you will understand one way or the other. And what we're teaching you is that to be able to understand without thinking. This is the secret of life, of success, folks. You look at successful people, very successful people. I talk about businessmen, talk about scientists, Einstein. I've talked about geniuses. Okay, all these people have one common trait. I alluded to it the last time. They depend on their instinct more than their thinking. Trust me. Number one, yes.
Master, I would say, as an example, even perhaps good medical doctors, physicians, if you've been around a lot of them, they seem to make an instinctual decision with you. They're not sitting down and going over everything and trying to remember. They're looking at you as a patient, and then they're making a decision.
Yes, including I dare venture, even during surgery, you need to use the instinct. Did you believe that? The moment of your life and death, I think I should do it this way. Contrary to the books, contrary to my experience. You know why? Because it's impossible to document every single decision you make in the books. No differently than it's impossible for us to explain to you everything there is to know about Chan. It's not possible. Because there's so many decision trees, there's so many different variations that we need to adapt to. Okay? It's just like, this is my favorite topic, the greatest crimes of the centuries. Okay? eventually it's a stroke of luck that they succeeded, because there's no way you ask all the best criminals of the world, the most successful ones, they will tell you the same thing. It's impossible to plan the perfect crime. Okay? It's luck and it's instinct when it comes down to it. Okay? So this is what happens to successful people, and they don't share it with us. That's why they're successful, we're not. They say, I am successful because this is what I'm gonna pass on to my children. Teach them to use the instinct. That's what they do. Okay? By the way, I never talk to any successful people. This is just pure conjectures from my part. So please take it with a grain of salt. Okay? Why would successful people bother talking to me? Let's face it. I open my mouth and dare criticize a great man like Mr. Buffett and say, you should not invest in Coca-Cola. Who am I to say that to him? You know, the idol of so many successful people. All right? So that's what happens to your ego. It loses grip on you, that's all. Meaning that you still trust your ego. It still is always there until you're dead. Okay? Until you die. But it is not as influential to you as it used to be. As you develop more samadhi, that samadhi of yours makes you more resistant to its overtures, to its manipulations. Is it clear? It's that 50% of the time, folks, you control freaks would love to hear what I'm just telling you. Okay? It's that 50% of the time when your ego really manipulates you and pulls your string that you say, no, you can't do that to me anymore. So as you see clearer, you begin to be immune to it. You don't move as much. You see, samadhi is unmoving. Is that clear? Unmoving what? Unmoving towards your own ego. That's the main thing for us. I know you when you hear unmoving, especially the Chinese, they so say, oh, I'm unmoving. You know, a girl passes by, I'm unmoving. I don't, glance at her look at her from a side, side of my eyes anymore. I'm unmoving. Okay? But no, unmoving is the most unmoving important thing about being unmoving is unmoving towards your own ego. That's the most important thing. That's called wisdom. You only have wisdom real wisdom is only when you're unmoving towards your own ego. It's pull your string. You say, nice try. When you're able to do that, what happens? You can embrace your boyfriend and says, oh, your ego is trying to pull my strings. It's okay. I'm not offended. I still love you. But I find you more funny than before. Sounds good? Huh? When you have more samadhi, you're more resistant. That's why you can embrace people and say, it doesn't bother you anymore. I know you folks hear of samadhi improving and say, I'm a cool person, I'm a better person. No, it's not about that, I'm better than you. No, that I am more forgiving than before. Okay? Yes, one.
Master, I believe that I can see now when you will possess samadhi and you're not in meditation. Everybody, all masters talk about samadhi is every day, working, sitting, playing, eating, walking, and I can see where that is true. It's something I'm really going to have to work on. You too can have samadhi when you play. Anyway, I think I can work on that. And I can see the way now that samadhi is available to you your whole life. Every minute, minute to minute.
Yes. And you can, one thing also about samadhi, folks, is very critical. Okay? That is, once you develop the ability to enter that samadhi, okay, you will be able to access it at will eventually. That's why it's so important. Okay, you have to get there, and then eventually you naturally develop the ability to utilize it. Until you get there, you don't know what we're talking about. Okay, so that's why my jobs, our jobs, children, okay, sunims and monks and nuns, is to bring them there, pull them there. I don't care how you do it, but lead them there. And then they say, oh, that's it. They will decide for themselves. So going back to the point about the wildly successful people that you admire, okay? They depend on their instinct so much because they are pioneers, they're trailblazers, they're developing new routes, new routes that hasn't been there. So therefore, they must depend on something called instinct in order to decide to go in that direction against everyone else's advices, against conventional wisdom. You see that? Only instincts allows them to do that. Okay? They make decisions on the fly. Case in point, a person I don't necessarily agree with, okay, but have tremendous respect for, is Mr. Musk. Elon, to some of you, to me, I know my stature. I need to address him as Mr. Musk. Okay? Listen. His story, the way he does business is fascinating to me. You remember he's on the brink of failure so many times, right? You know, like financial failures, especially lack of money, running out of money to pursue his dreams and so forth. And the one thing that interests me is that a few years ago, he had tremendous production problems. After struggling with all the lack of money and lack of market demands, he says, finally, there's money and there's demand for his products. But it's too much demand. He couldn't produce the cars quickly enough. Remember that story? I was interested by that. I said, wow, how do you solve this problem? Okay, now it's about delivery. How do you deliver? How can you deliver? So what did he do? He slept on the floor of his manufacturing plant. He didn't go home anymore. He slept on the floor in his office. You heard that story? We all heard that story, right? He said, my production VP quit because he's a failure. He didn't gear up for this increased production. I cannot bring a next person who never done production of EVs before. You could go hire someone from my competitors, Ford, GM, so forth. But they never done production in our environment and our kinds of products before. So they too have to learn, like me. So what did he do? I stay on the floor, and he's put his mind into how to solve these production problems. These robots are not delivering as like he anticipated. He bought so many robots to help with the manufacturing, but it's not. It's based on recommendations of his VP manufacturing who left. So what is he supposed to do? So he slept on the floor, and every day for 24 hours a day, and whatever it takes for him to stay awake, he stayed awake. And what did he do? To fix problems one problem after another. Okay, that's why I'm told that these EVs are nightmares of maintenance, because they never have any master plan on how to lay out the product. It's just like, okay, we have a problem, what do we do? Let's put it here to fix it, and let's try the other ones. That's why now when to try to maintain that thing, when you need to fix it, something goes wrong, it's a nightmare because it's so poorly engineered. It's not engineered for maintenance, it's only engineered for production. Okay? So far, so good. So, Elon, I still adore you. Could use your money. Anyway, yeah, he's a superior person, because to me he's a success story. Because imagine you put in that position where you don't know much about manufacturing, you are not trained in manufacturing. Okay, you're under tremendous pressure because you don't deliver. They're gonna sue you. You lose all your deposit money, and your stock's gonna take a nosedive again. Okay, you're running out of money and so forth. So, only thing he has that when he faced in that tremendous stress in the where no one has been before. Okay, what did Captain Kirk do? He relied on his instinct against Mr. Spock's advices. Anyone remembers that? Mr. Spock says, "But Jim, this is illogical. What did Captain Kirk do? I don't care. I'm the captain. We do it my way." I love Captain Kirk. Another hero of mine. You see? Another wildly successful man who went to no man has gone before. Because he relied on his instinct, folks. That's what great men do. When they have no data, they have to depend on their instinct in order to break new frontiers. Garbage? You see? And then he comes back and says, "No, that's garbage thinking. Just go this way." You know? And so you remember, that's how it works in the real world, folks. The scientists and your teacher would like to tell you, think. I'm going to teach you how to think because I get paid to do that. However, okay, they're neglecting that part of you, that your strength, your true treasure in your mind is that thing called instinct. And that's great men, successful people, our pioneers, whether it's the founding fathers of our country, whether it's a great scientist like Einstein, like the person I admire, Elon, when he's normal, okay, and so forth. These people had to depend on their instinct in order to expand our knowledge, to make leaps, bring leaps into the human store of knowledge. Okay? And then the scientists then step up and they explain and justify why the instinct of these great men worked. That's where the logic comes in. Our logic is always, by the way, one step behind your instinct, folks. That's Master YongHua's new theorem. It's only mathematicians understand what I'm talking about. In mathematics, we first make a theorem, like Einstein make a theory equal E equal mc squared, and then you prove it later with your logic. You know that? That's how great discoveries are made. I'm not talking about small discovery. I'm talking about giant leaps in human knowledge. It's based on instinct first, folks, and then logic justifies it, proves it. Wow, Daniel is so impressed. He's quiet. I have no question. How can I touch greatness? Buddhist greatness. Thank you. Okay? Yes, go ahead. Number 7.
I was just thinking this is like perfect teaching, so there's no way to argue about this.
You know why Daniel is not fighting me? Would you like to know? If you ask him, he says, no, I'm going to tell you, it's my secret, my Catholic secret. But I tell you why. I know it's Catholic secret. Would you like to know? He's laughing already. I haven't told you my answer yet and you're laughing. It's not fair to me. I'm not going to tell him anymore. It's no more fun. If you laugh before I even, give you the answers, what's the point in giving you the answer? I'm so hurt when you do that to me. So why? Why? It's because his instinct tells him not to. Am I right? He said, I can't decide. Okay. Yeah, cool. This is us, folks. No one tells you about how great you can be, how pioneering you can be if you can just let go of your insistence. I need to understand. I need to agree. I'm so right. That's your ego entrapping you to your being ordinary. That's all. Because in order for your ego to remain your best friend, you have to be ordinary. Did you realize that? You're just ordinary when you say, I trust myself only. Did you realize that? Only ordinary people will insist on that. I only trust myself. I trust no one. Those are small thinkers. I trust my logic. I trust my thinking mind. Okay? Questions or comments? You see, she started this. Okay, and most of you started this. That's why educators need to be aware of this and encourage our children to draw upon their instinct as well. Okay? Yes, you're supposed to teach them to use your brains because that's what you are paid. You're paid to teach them to use their thinking mind, but also don't neglect their instinct part as well. Okay, and becomes obvious, more evident when they meditate. Okay, they'll be able to break through, and that's the contribution of Buddhism to the world. We free you from your own limitations. Okay? You can be so much better. Doesn't matter how old you are. Okay? Yesterday, I have some lady, is 40 years old from Korea, and she says, I used to be so much brighter, faster, and sharper when I was 15, and how can I get back to it? I said, back to where? He said, back to 15. I said, oh, it's easy. I thought you were going to ask me to get back to 12 or 10 or something. That's much more difficult. See, small thinkers, again. You see my point? No one got my point. Is that your ego says, if I could just be as great as I used to be. Oh, God, you can be greater. Don't be so Catholic. More or less. Okay. Anyway, got that? Any other questions? God, it looks like we're back to square one again. After 1 hour, we're back to slide number 12. Any other questions? If I continue, I have to come back and cover the grounds again next week. So that we can, because I don't remember. Honestly, I talk, I open my mouth, and I forget immediately what I just said. It's my senility, getting worse and worse and worse. All right? Is it clear? That's part of fun. You see, it's part of my fun too. Being a teacher is to help you discover these things. And that's why the great part about being a teacher is not only develop the thinking mind, but also help them develop more of the assets. Okay, more of the instinct that educators are neglecting. Okay. But don't dwell too much on the instinct, because people will think you are a heretic and you're going to get in trouble with your bosses. Okay? All right? Time almost up. Shall we continue, or anyone has any questions? Why is it so quiet? No questions at all? You're all floored, huh? Including Kath, who says, wow, this is cool. Buddha's coolness. Yeah, now he's crossing his legs. He said. You see, now you understand why all of you sit there and are crossing your legs and say, it's so cool. Because by crossing your legs, you'll be able to understand more of what this is about. Trust me. Okay? Questions, comments? Okay? You see how wonderful it is? I want you to see how generous the Buddhist the four founding fathers, like the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and the patriarchs, how generous they are. They understood all this, and they decided to give it away to my generation. And now it's my turn to give it away to you. Okay? Because these great things are meant to be shared. It's not meant for us to make money or gain fame out of it. It's meant for us to share it with you so that we make this world is a better place, really. How? By you becoming better people yourselves. The world is better because you are better, not because there's more monuments, there's more money, one country is more powerful than the others. It doesn't bring happiness, doesn't make the world better at all. One country is better than the other, and we still have to face with something called climate change, okay? Forest fires, flood, pandemics, sufferings that affects all of us. We started by trying to help California and the U.S., then realized it's still not enough, okay? Because the whole world is suffering, okay? So that's why we are interconnected. You cannot say that we have to better in the other country. We have to become better individuals, yes, but we need to share our happiness with others. And that's why the Buddha taught us, came to our world to share this wisdom with us freely and give it away, okay? He doesn't need temple. He didn't need temples. He didn't need money. He didn't need disciples. He didn't need fame. Need prophets. It's about sharing the good things so that we provide some relief to other people's suffering. Okay? So this is the spirit of Chan, by the way. We learn to do this in order to help others freely. No strings attached. Okay? That's why the Catholics are free to come and pick our brains and use our instincts to their advantages and recruit more Catholics. It doesn't bother us. But, it's not about conversion or whatever. It's about trying to help when we can. Okay? And help what? Relieve the suffering. How? By reduce our own sufferings first. The nature of suffering, same thing. The nature of suffering is because we give it to others. Do you know that? The world suffers more because we suffer more. That's why we pass it on to others, to each other. That's why. So, conversely speaking, in order to make the world happier, we have first need to become happier ourselves. Then the happiness rubs off others as well, rubs off your children, rubs off their friends. Yes, number 3.
Alex is asking, why does my body feel cool when I meditate with you during transit?
Oh, the body feels cold when she sits with me in a transit. That's one of the 8 states that you will experience before you enter samadhi. What are the 8 states? I don't know. I'm not sure I can remember. But cold and hot. That's 2 states. Yes? Heavy and light. That's 4. So far, so good? What else? You name them, I will remember. If you force me to remember, I'm too old to remember everything nowadays. Okay? What else? There is also, like, you feel itchy, and what's the opposite of itchy? So you have these pairs of opposites that you experience. So light and heavy, cold and heat, itchy and comfortable. Okay. So that's 6. There's another pair. Okay. Those are the pairs that you will experience. That when you are about to enter samadhi. Okay. But regardless, just make a note of that. Just be aware you're cold and you're hot or whatever, and it will go away. You don't have to do anything. Okay? If you say, "Oh my God, I better ask a teacher why I'm cold. Something is wrong. Normally I'm not cold." So what are you doing? You're reacting. okay, to that state. And that's what you need to learn. When these states happen, when you meditate, whether it's cold or hot, when you are hurting or you're comfortable and you feel happy, ignore it. Just let it happen and it will go away. Okay? No need to attach to it. It's just a passing state. All right? So in summary, it's a good state. Don't worry about it. Okay? It's a precursor to very good thing happening to you. Okay? All right. Time is up. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll see you next time.